Thanks for joining this introduction to remote working insights with Splunk. I'm going to talk around the application for remote working insights. I'm also going to touch on a couple of other things that we've been working at Somerford as well, and we should be able to round it off pretty quickly. So what I want to talk about is really just a brief discussion on kind of how Splunk can help monitor remote working. What is the Splunk Remote Insights application? I'll give an introduction to Somerford's Risk IQ COVID-19 app that we've been developing, and also just touch upon alternative remote working methods that maybe spark some interest or some sort of way of working in this new world. So it really all powers on Splunk, right? It all depends on Splunk. Splunk is the platform for data, for machine data, for any data, and this data is expanding. There's a bigger and wider data universe out there now. And remote working insights is really focused on specific data sets around your VPN, around authentication events, because no matter where they are, they're still authenticating to something that you've got a record of. And all that kind of data. And then the third thing is around the web conferencing. So, how users are actually acting and stuff within the new world of remote working. So that's all powered by Splunk Enterprise or Splunk Cloud, depending on which direction you've got, and you've got the AI, ML on top of it. But really, because we're focusing on the remote working, we're talking around the IT operations to make sure that those users can work remotely, and also the security focus for this data. Okay, so we're only using a small part of the Splunk platform, but hopefully you understand a bit about how Splunk works. But if not, do let us know and we can go through it with you. So what is the Splunk Remote Working Insights? Well, it's an initiative that was brought about within Splunk themselves, where they were Splunking themselves, if you like. Splunk as a business needed to suddenly have a new remote workforce. They had to close their offices and start working remotely, so they wanted to monitor their own team. And this is where a lot of great things come from, an actual need of something happening. So because of that, it's very much in its infancy. It was written around specific technologies that Splunk used themselves, but of course it's going to be expanded very soon. So what I'm showing you today may be quite different to what it's going to be like in just a few days or a week's time or so. It's focusing on 3 pillars, and it provides a collection of different dashboards that are all targeted around the remote working concepts. Those 3 pillars of data is the VPN data, the authentication data, and web conferencing data. So because of the collection of dashboards, you get an executive dashboard that kind of gives you the high-level view of what's going on within your remote working workforce, talking around the 3 pillars again. And it's really about using the data that you've got in your business and driving it via Splunk to create some insights into what's going on from a connectivity point of view with your workforce, a productivity point of view, and an engagement as well. So making sure that users are actually using these technologies that you're providing to them. Then diving into each pillar, essentially, we've got dashboards that show you what's going on. So from a VPN perspective, we're talking around successful logons across the globe, failed logons across the globe, right? Very important to make sure that you're not getting attacked from certain areas of the world. You may need to revisit your VPN access controls. We've got pie charts that show you kind of countries and locations, top values, top things, and also time charts that show you things that are going on throughout the day. So if you get people connecting to the VPN in the middle of the night, things like that, you want to be know about and aware of. The second pillar is around web conferencing. So in this situation, it's around Zoom, using Zoom, how long your meetings are lasting, how many active meetings are going on right now, how many participants are generally in your meetings, what sort of meetings they are, so what type of meetings, if they're a personal meeting or if they're a recurring meeting or scheduled or whatever it is, and also the timeframes. And if people are overrunning their meetings, right, so making sure that your workforce is able to keep to the new time or the time constraints for their meetings, having to adjust to this new world of doing everything over the phone and remotely. So giving some insights around the web conferencing area. And then the third pillar is around authentication. So it's a great resource showing where users are authenticating, what time of the day they're authenticating, how many failed authentications versus successful authentications, and what applications they're authenticating against. So you've got a technology like a single sign-on platform, like an Okta or an Adaptive. You can get the insights out of that information to show what's the top applications that are being used and what's going on with that. And also you can look at it from 2 different ways in terms of the failed authentications. If you've got users that are failing a lot of times, then there might be a concern with that user account or that user themselves. But you could also see applications that are failing to be authenticated against. And so there could be a problem with the application. So you can spin it in two different directions here, but it's really giving that sort of insights. So as the high level apps, what I want to do is actually show you the technology and how quick it's performant. It's all built on top of some of the best practices in Splunk using data models. So things are very performant. So here we've got the executive dashboard. And as I said in the slide deck, essentially it's around the VPNs, the Zoom meetings for this, and also Okta applications, what's being used in the three different pillars. And then down across the bottom, the global map of what's going on. Because it's Splunk, and everything's clickable, drillable, and everything's customizable. So you can go ahead and actually just change this executive dashboard to meet what you need as a business and what you need to see. But if I want to dive into any of these particular areas, I can go ahead and just click on it. So if I click on the VPN sessions, that'll bring up in a new tab my VPN ops, which is essentially showing me what's happening with my workforce. Okay, so came up pretty quickly, as you can see, and we're talking around the logins from different locations, successful versus failed ones, and also the actual underlying details of what logins are going on. Now, this particular demo is all powered from demo data, so you will see some sort of repetition, but I'm sure in your environment it will look a lot more interesting than what you'll see here. So that's your VPN, and if I want to dive into another sort of pillar, the sort of web conferencing Zoom, we can see some dashboards around that. So here we've got the active meetings, the active meeting participants, the longest meeting for the day, the median average of how long these meetings are. Some meetings existing only for 12 minutes, maybe they should be looked at. Meetings on time versus overtime, so scheduled for an hour, they're running for 2 or even just an hour and 1 minute, whatever. They're overtime, so they should be checked on, see if everything's working as it should be, and they've got what they need. The number of participants, so you can see a kind of what sort of engagement you've got in your meetings. Are they one-to-ones, or are they actually a bigger, wider policy of meetings? Are you getting big groups meeting and all that sort of thing? So getting some insights around that. Now, because we got Splunk, and because this is powered on the actual raw data, you can actually go in to actually have a look at any of this, right? And have a look at the underlying raw data. So you can click on that and it will take you into the search page. It will populate the search for you so you can see the things around Zoom, how that search is written, and it's going for the particular date time that I clicked on within the chart there. And you can see those underlying events, right? And you can see expand them out, and you can see the JSON formatted event that you've got that actually powered that data source. So that's really good. So you can get right to the under the hood as well. So you've got those three tiers. You've got your executive dashboards, you've got your specific dashboards, and then of course you've got the actual underlying events that are powering everything. And then finally, you've got the kind of conversation around authentication. What's happening in my authentications, what devices are authenticating, what browsers are authenticating, what applications are being accessed generally, what are my top ones, and all that sort of thing. And again, everything's customizable and drillable. But effectively, this is what you can get out of that raw data and give you some insights into remote working. As I say, it's a bit of an initiative right now, and I expect things to change quite rapidly within this application. So do check back, but hopefully this has given you a kind of a very brief insight. So that's remote working insights. Just a couple of things I additionally want to just talk about. So Somerford, what we've been doing is we've been able to build this alerting application around COVID-19. So we're using some threat intelligence given by Risk IQ. So there are threat intelligence around the COVID-19 URLs. So they've built a big list of URLs that are relevant to COVID-19, that are known bad sites, that are known bad malware or some other thing that you don't really want to see anybody on your network talking to. But if you do see them, you need to know about it. So we've built a closed application that you can just deploy on your Splunk search head, and it will go out and grab those URLs as a list and use it as a lookup, and then compare data that's in your common information model data models against that threat list, and alert you if it finds anybody that's connected to a known bad COVID-19 app. Okay, so with any disastrous situation in the world, you do get bad actors that tend to try and exploit that and exploit the fear of users using this kind of thing. So it's really a poignant message to kind of look at these COVID-19 URLs and make sure that no users are actively connecting to them. If you want more information or to get a hand on the application, do just get in contact with us. We can do that and make sure you got it. We do expect to put it up on Splunk Base in the near future, but until then, do just do just make contact and we'll be able to provide the information for you and give you the application. And then finally, I just want to talk around the VPN kind of route. It's been so common for a long time to provide a VPN to your remote users, which effectively gives you full access onto that network. Those users get full access onto the network. If you want to reduce the attack surface, one of the things that you could be doing is removing the requirement of the VPN and just provide a direct route to the end resource, whether that's a specific application they need to be running or whether that's a server they need to be accessing. Okay, just provide into the browser direct access to that application or that server, and remove the requirement to jump on the VPN every time and have full network access within there. So this can be done with centralized privileged access service. You can get rid of that VPN. I just want to mention it there as something that can be looked at in the future. Do get in contact with us around it, and we're happy to talk through it in a bit more detail. So finally, just a quick recap. So Splunk Remote Working Insights provides a collection of dashboards all around remote working using a VPN data, authentication data, and web conference data at the moment. We do expect that to expand into Office 365 and other technologies around the remote working workforce. Somerford have built a Risk IQ based COVID-19 app that alerts you on connections to these dodgy malware or just bad known sites and URLs. Okay, so we can provide that, and then also think about Centrify as a technology that can remove the requirement of a VPN. So thanks very much for just jumping on this. Do get in contact with us if you need any more advice or any conversations further than that. Thanks again.